place, you've said that enterprise deals aren't won through persuasion, but through risk reduction. What moment proved that for you? And what kind of change would you coach folks for on that?
So we call that scar tissue. I've learned that a lot. So I'll share one story with you. I once demonstrated a solution that had outperformed our competitor in every way imaginable: speed, simplicity, scalability. And then later I learned that they were already deep into negotiations with those higher up, ironically at about 10 times our price. So I kind of paused everybody who I was working with, and I said, so let's take a step back and let's revisit why you're buying this in the first place. And we had discussed the fact that they had a multitude of different ERP systems that were disconnected. And what was happening was they would get a discount from a particular vendor in APAC that was different than the discount they were receiving in Latin America. And they wanted to rationalize that. And in doing so, through asking, why do you want to do that? What we uncovered was that if they did integrate all these different systems, they would be able to reduce their annual spend by 2% a year, their IT spend, by simply, if a vendor is giving 6% discount here and 4% here, they were able to extrapolate that. And what it wound up being was, if the annual spend was $16 billion, that's $320 million a year in savings. Right. So, when I ask, when is the other group promising that, and we learned that was going to be about a 3-year payback period, I simply asked who in the building would be interested in seeing that return this fiscal quarter. And that was a very, very pivotal,
provocative question.
Yeah. Well, and it worked, and we won. And when I went to pick up the order, I remember them thanking me for helping them save $9 million just on the purchase price. And then we ultimately delivered on what was promised. So.
Gotcha. That, it kind of, you're bringing up kind of a balancing game psychologically with buyers. How much is the reward for what they're going to do versus the what if it fails? And it's like, if that hurdle rate isn't there, the project doesn't happen. If there's not executive sponsorship, that doesn't happen. If there's not change management, that doesn't happen. But boy, I tell you, instant gratification is so much better than delayed gratification in a selling cycle, isn't it?
It is.
So, tell me about a deal that, looked dead, but you still close. I mean, we all have deals in our pipeline that we would like to, bring back to life somehow that may have died. What do you see that would, in that situation, what I'm kind of curious about is what shifted in that buyer's organization. How did you approach the situation and help the champion overcome it a little bit?
Yeah. And I love how you phrased it, because you didn't ask the question about a deal that was lost. It's interesting in sales, we never admit to losing deals. Those are the deals that we walked from. But deals do get stalled, and they look dead at some point. So I do remember, and this is one of my favorite customers. He's just a prince. This is a gentleman who, on the last day of the quarter, decided to text me that my price was $300,000 too high, and that we would have to pick things up next quarter. And I texted him back. I said, I'm going to be there in 30 minutes to talk this through. I was there in about 15, and he kept me waiting for about an hour before coming out and asking me, what do I want to talk about? And candidly, I said, what do you think I want to talk about? We've been working for months with your teams. We structured a mutual action plan. Everybody did their roles. We got security approval. We got finance approval. Everything is teed up. You have your price that we agreed on. And he paused me and he said, do I have your best price? And those who know me know this story. What I did was I pulled out a $1 bill from my pocket and I wrote my home phone number on it. And I gave it to him and I said, that's my home phone number. If you ever need me 24/7, you just give me a call. But now you have my best price. And he signed the order, not signed this, he turned around, hit the keyboard and processed the order. That dollar bill, by the way, is still pinned to his wall. So we've remained friends. He just needed to know that he had our best price, which is a very, very important step in the sales cycle.
Yeah. So when you talk about, it really is kind of a bold move. I wish I could say that I was that bold in most of my sales cycle. I probably behaved much like most salespeople. Say, well, let me see if I can't lower someplace else. And not only are you killing your deal and killing your price and killing your credibility and killing your situation where you're doing a disservice to the client. And if there's real value in what you're doing, the price is the price. But anyway, so when you talk about a conversation,
to what end? To what end? It's just going to keep going down and down and down. They're doing their jobs by asking that question. They need to know, do they have their best price? So one of the things I coach reps on is as soon as the customer has their best price, just tell them, let's stop wasting time. The price you're going to get is the same price I'm giving you today. If we wait a week, a month, whatever it is, you have our best price. All you're doing now is delaying the business outcomes that we're talking about helping you deliver. So I do try to put it back on them.
So